Sorry, I'm here now.
Wonderful. I think you're ready to go, Mark.
All right. Welcome to today's BOMA San Francisco webinar on building re-occupancy protocols. Today we'll hear from two members of BOMA China about new building operating practices developed in response to the coronavirus. We're very grateful to our BOMA members in China for sharing their experiences. I'm Mark Intermaggio and I serve as Executive Vice President for BOMA San Francisco. Before we begin, I'd like to review just a few program notes. First, all participants will be muted during today's presentation. You're encouraged to submit questions at any time during the webinar using the chat feature. During the last part of our program, we'll have a question and answer session with our speakers. We'll answer just as many questions as we possibly can. As a reminder, today's webinar is being recorded and it will be posted on BOMA San Francisco's COVID-19 resource page afterwards. I would now like to thank our sponsor, Able Services, and introduce Jeff Corvey with Able. We really appreciate Able's support. Jeff?
Okay, thank you, Mark, and everybody with BOMA. Able is pleased to sponsor this important discussion today. Our company is a nationwide property services company with local San Francisco roots. Able has been a longtime BOMA member and supporter, and our employees are very engaged at all levels with the association, locally, regionally, statewide, and with BOMA International. We value our partnership with BOMA and its members. Health and safety is the #1 priority for our employees, clients, and community. We recognize collaboration with the marketplace is of critical importance. We all understand this COVID-19 pandemic tests us all on a daily basis. We pledge to work with you, our clients, to find the best way to bring business back and to create new best operating practices. We want to thank BOMA for the opportunity for this ongoing engagement and support today's program. We look forward to the exchange of information and mutual support that BOMA is so well known for. Stay well and stay healthy. Now I'll hand the program off to your moderator today, Glenn Good with Tishman Speyer and Treasurer of BOMA San Francisco. Glenn?
Good afternoon. Thank you very much, Jeff. Good afternoon to most attendees and good early morning to our panelists in China. While there are more questions than answers about when and how we'll get back to business in California, we're very fortunate to have some building re-occupancy models to look at. BOMA San Francisco is just one of 87 local BOMAs in cities across the United States, with another 16 international affiliated BOMAs around the world. All of us have been grappling with the coronavirus challenge, and we've shared a great deal of information across our network. We're supporting one another and learning from each other and establishing new operating practices to meet personal and business needs shaped by this public health crisis. One of our international BOMA affiliates, BOMA China, has been in the vanguard of establishing new building operating practices in response to the coronavirus. As Mark told you earlier on how our program will work today, I just want to share a couple of reminders. If you have questions, and I'm sure you do, please post them in the Q&A box located at the bottom of your screen. We'll do our level best to get to as many as possible during the short time we have together. If you experience any technical issues, please note that we are recording this webinar and it will be posted at BOMA San Francisco's website afterwards. It's really a wealth of knowledge to go to the website to get information on the coronavirus. Now it is my pleasure to introduce two of our speakers today. My colleague, Alan To, is the Senior Director of Property Management for Tishman Speyer in China. David Law is the past General Manager of Guangzhou International Finance Center in China as well. Both Alan and Dave have been very active with BOMA China. Now I'll ask Dave Law to begin our presentation. Welcome, Dave Law.
Thank you, everybody. It's okay. Thank you, everybody. I will take this opportunity to show some information and then what we have done in Guangzhou IFC. This is some information. On the left-hand side is the emergency plan of Guangzhou IFC to facing the coronavirus. And the starting of the June of this year, we have completed the preventive plans and started on the response action in early March. The content of today's PPT around 6 areas. First of all, there's some background regarding Guangzhou IFC. Guangzhou IFC have 103 storage and 456 meters in height, completed in 2010. Total complete area is almost 2.7 million square feet. Daily occupants around 7,000 and the visitors 1,800 almost. For the first, the personal and access control for the Guangzhou IFC, emergency coronavirus 19 task force to provide pandemic plan training to all personnel. Task force will reveal the latest information of coronavirus status and conditions for material and resource allocation. All the contract personnel must report their travel record and health declaration to their company. The company must provide these reports to the IFC Management Office 24 hours in advance for verification. All the personnel must go through temperature checks in disinfection procedures and wear proper PPE for each shift. All personnel return to Wuhan or high hazard areas must be isolated for 14 days and submit their health declarations for approval by the Guangzhou IFC Management Office before resume works. All people entering the buildings are required to show green code, wear the mask, body checked before enter the building. There are 7 entries to the Guangzhou IFC. 3 main entries are equipped in infrared temperature scanners for the high travel value, while handheld temperature scanners are used for another entrance. And we also provide all the disinfectant formats for the airport at the entrance. The second one, because Guangzhou IFC's exterior is covered by the curtain wall, no windows. So that's very important for the provide artificial ventilation for Guangzhou IFC. For HVAC system, fresh air and return air are separate vents. There's no return air circulation between floors to avoid contamination. VAV system filters and sterilize. They are entered the building through G4 cubed filtration. Electronic status ducts remove, F7 medium filtration, dehumidifications, and others multiple proceedings. Effective filtration diameters of about 0.8 microns for coronavirus and 2.5 micron dimension spray of the PM 2.5 and diameter or more than 5 microcom of droplets and others photo stateless device to be kill more than 90% of the virus bacteria before being sent to the tenant's unit. And also increase the air circulation 2 times before the normal operation and start ventilation system 2 hours before earlier. Disinfection ventilation system with the additional ultravirus disinfection equipment to the ventilation and also the monitoring IAQ coordinated. You can see on the left-hand side, there's the monitor panel to have been installed in all the common lobby for the tenants to inspect all the indoor air quality status. And also, we have made contingency plan in advance. As soon as there are suspended case, immediately shut down the air supplies for the air cabin. Fresh air, exhaust vent, within and toilet exhaust. Start the fire exhaust fan. So to shut down the floor can be maintained negative pressure to prevent spread the virus and germs, then lock the relative lift button to this floor to prevent people going in. And also for the environment, Guangzhou IFC using German imported brand Depends Wash 3000 microfunction disinfection liquid. Concentrate is automatically dispensed through the EMSD chemical dispenser. In addition to the daily cleaning, building, public area, restroom, parking lot, and other areas, the inspection for our daily. And the inspection during the peak hours and also for the twice hourly. And also for the front desk, security gate, elevator handrails, elevator, lift lobby, button, tier room, and etc. The high frequency contact points. On the weekend and the holiday, disinfection frequency will be adjusted once every 2 hours, and the infection spray to be done once a day. And also, health and safety message posting in the front of the desk, elevator, public area screen, and other locations. Hand sanitizers are placed in the front of the desk and elevator hall. You can see on the right-hand side, the photo. And keep the number of people per elevator to a maximum 10. We also post out every notice in the lobby. In addition, Guangzhou IFC to provide all the tenants' office with free infection surveys. You can see the photos for all the tenants' premises. And use the face mask disposal container displayed in the entrance elevator lobbies. The container is inspected twice daily. Use the face mask collect and disinfection before disposal. And that's a very important for everyone. You can take food inside the office. So Guangzhou IFC had the 3 kinds of for the food and carrier delivery. One is if we encourage the tenant staff to bring their own food, lunch box by themselves in order to minimize the frequency of the in and out. That's another. We are designated areas for the food and carrier delivery. That's for the outside food and beverage service. And another one, you can see the right-hand side of the QR code. That QR code is provided and coordinated by the mentioned office because Guangzhou IFC have the food and beverage outlet shops inside the arcade. So if the tenant staff to scan the QR code, we can collect all the orders and arrange the special delivery night and people to bring along all the foods directly to the premises. For the tenants, in order to better serve the building occupants, IFC implements online resume dedication personnel health dedication for the temporary access card and other starting for the health and order operation of the building. Tenants declaration. All the tenants must complete the business resumption application to resumptions of the works, complete the company filing procedure required by the government authority. And also further of the government requirements for the personnel health and safety control, and Guangzhou IFC asked the tenants to earn all the staff to provide 14 days of personal travel records, health declaration, and daily body checks, and establish one person, one file system. Use tenant employees to issue the temporary access cards to enter the building if requirement is fulfilled. For the employees who are, say, some of the asymptomatic after 14 days home isolation, IFC will require to approve and consent to resume work by the tenant's company to at least 1 day in advance before resuming the work. You can see on the blue color, the blue color QR code is coordinated by the local government. And then the green one is the tracking record to be reported, must be reported. And the right-hand side is the temporary access card of the Guangzhou IFC. For the visitor control, IFC strongly recommends using the video conferencing, remote calibration to reduce the visitor frequency to the building. If necessary, visitors are required to provide health dedication and personal travel proof and submit to the applications 1 day in advance to the mentioned office for approval before entering the building. You can see on the left-hand side, the entrances have the several codes to double check their record. And the right-hand side of the front desk, there's some procedure and the flow chart, and as well as the QR code. And the latest for the communication, this is most important to between our tenants, owners, and the management team. This is some personal protect during the outbreak. For the personal travel, you make use of the travel by text, whatever, and you can report how to remote and also submit any information regarding the later. You have the personal hygiene. There's some Chinese wordings. There's an infection, clean hand, and then office maintain healthy, and how to use the lift, and also how about F&B during the outbreak. There's also the very important face mask, and wash your hands at least 20 seconds. The last I want to show all of you, there's a huge information inside the QR ID of the Guangzhou IFC. Not only the emergency plan, and also all the information what we have need the tenants to coordinate, as well as you can see the left-hand side, the update daily coronavirus pandemic status around in China and also around the world. And also you can see the right-hand side, we also provide the the disinfection service for the tenants. The latest one, I want to share one of there's so many our frontline staff for the different departments, security, engineering, customer service. The most people, they have more than 14 days on duty without any so, and also we have so many figures. The people, our staff to contact and collect the data every day and take necessary statistics and report to the head office daily to keep track 24 hours a day to make sure the action plan and the building is more health and safety. Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you, Dave. We're going to transition and over to our next. Thank you for your excellent presentation. And Alan Toll from Tishman Speyer is going to make his share with us his experiences from Shanghai. What a privilege we have today to be enjoying this presentation.
Okay, let me share my screen. You cannot start screen while the others. Okay. Oh, can you see my screen?
Yes.
Sorry.
Not yet, Alan.
Can everyone see my screen? Not yet. Okay.
Not yet.
We're still seeing Dave's.
Yeah, I think Dave has to.
I'm just turned off the video already.
Oh, okay.
Oh, sorry.
Okay. So can everyone see my screen now?
Yes.
We certainly can.
Yeah, okay. Thank you, Dave. So the arrangement between Dave and I think, IFC has also done a lot of things similar to what we did in Shanghai. I'm located in Shanghai and Dave is located in Guangzhou. And some of the features in the building are pretty common to each other. So for my presentation, I want to touch in the operational ideas or content, what we have done. First of all, to prepare for reopen, we have to look at our own building because the major issue is about the distancing. So in our lobby, obviously, we cannot, occupy, at the regular morning peak hours. And in our building, we probably estimate we can occupy maybe maximum 50 person at the same time. So we prepare that some people or some tenant staff may have to line up outside our lobby. So that's, you can see here on the screen, we prepare some kind of a line on the ground saying they are 1 meter apart. So each of the 1 or 2 person can stand on each line before they can get into our lobby. And once they get into, oh, sorry, I get back to this first. And the other idea we have to do is to limit, the access and entrance to each of our building. And luckily in this building, we have 2 revolving doors. So we limit one for exit and the other one for entrance. So we kind of plan out the flow of the people coming into our building and how do they get to the, the elevator lobby. And then, what about people coming out from the lobby, from the elevator. And once they get into the lobby, they will see some, QR code, which Dave also mentioned. In China, they create what we call a green card systems. You can see my green card on the right-hand side. there are a couple of ways, people can obtain your green card. They can scan the QR code if this is your first time. You can scan the QR code, and then, it will access to one of those cellular phone carriers, and you can actually keep track of where you have been in the last 14 days. So, if you have visited some of those, what we call the dangerous zone or, infected area, then you may not get a green color. You may get a yellow color if that is only a concern zone, or if you have get into a hospital or something like that, then you probably will get in a red code. So this is a current code we have to get in every day. So you can see on my screen, that one I show is I obtained that on April 27 in the morning when I got to work. So this is one of the systems, we use in China, trying to keep track of, are we have any chance to get infected or not. And this is the protective gears and what we use for our staff. You can see, we use face masks, we wear goggles, gloves, and also we use the, the handheld non-contact type of thermometer to check the temperature of everyone coming in. So actually, during this, pandemic period, everywhere in Shanghai, we got tested temperature probably 5-10 times a day. Most of the area you got in. So actually, if we are having a fever during this period, we can get nowhere. We got caught pretty soon somewhere. And for some high traffic area, like the Shanghai subway or some mall, they use this kind of an infrared thermal scanner, which can capture maybe multiple person at a time. But it also depends on how heavy traffic, you are, because it has this limitation of accuracy. So sometimes, we might use, the handheld thermometer in some of those entrance or, some less traffic area. And for sanitizing, this is the key part. During this whole period, during the lockdown stage, or right now we have already reopened, sanitizing is one of the key factors, and we clean most of the area every 2 hours. Like all the button which people may touch, or the door handle, or any surface, or the railing on the escalators, and even the lobby furnitures, all those kind of a high traffic area which we feel people can touch. So we will clean it every 2 hours by the the sanitizer, and trying to reduce the area which people can touch is we change. Luckily, we have automatic revolving door, so people cannot. They don't need to push. And for our elevator, we're using card system, so people don't need. Actually, we don't have any button for people to press on. So if the building they don't have this kind of features, then probably we have to put up more area to be cleaned every 2 hours. And this is a temporary isolation tent we put outside our building. So this is for preparation in case we find out someone whose temperature is above 37.3 degrees Celsius, then he or she will be, be invited to stay in this isolation tent. So first of all, they will not be allowed to come into our building. And also we will invite them, him or her, to go to this isolation tent, and then we will call, the ambulance to send him to a local medical facility. And every day, we have to report all the tenant staff, and also all our contractors, and also our PM staff, all the temperature we measure twice a day. And then by the end of the day, we have to report this to our local health authorities to make sure everything is all right. And did we capture any people over the 37.3 degrees Celsius, and then sent to the local bureau. And some operational difference at reopening we have to do is, first of all, I will say, we ramp up, the cleaning and disinfection routine within the building. You have to identify which area which may be in contact by most people most of the time. So you have to create, the routine. We also display on the area this has been disinfected, at what time. So that is one thing you have to plan and create and let your clean staff to follow. And the second point is about the central air conditioning. Actually, in the past couple of months, we shut off our air conditioning, the central aircon in our building. Actually, we just test open yesterday. Was the first day because the temperature is about 30 degrees yesterday. So we turn on the air conditioning. And other than that, in the past, from January until yesterday, actually the whole air conditioning was closed. And actually during the closing of the air conditioning, we turn on the fresh air supply to the building, and then we monitoring the CO2 level in each of the floor, in the tenant area, and also in the lobby. And also we open up, if there's any window we can open. But in our building, we're using curtain wall, and then we have to, use fresh air intake. And sometimes we turn on, the fire, exhaust, fire, air intake. And also the other thing we did is to limit, the passenger to go on the elevator on each Y. On average, our elevator can accommodate around 20 people, but now we reduce that to 5 to 6. And we are lucky we can, change our software code in our systems. So each of the Y, can limit to a maximum 6 each time. So in case, if we don't have that software change, then probably we have to use maybe security staff or customer service staff to try to limit, the passenger inside the elevator. And that might create some of the problem about, how about the morning peak or the lunch peak or the, the evening peak hours. And I will touch on that point later on. And to reduce, the passengers or, the population in our building, some company, they might provide lunch boxes to reduce, the lunch peak hour to traveling in between the floors. So you can see on the right-hand side, some of those buildings, they have the, they have a small canteen, and you can see the partition they put on each of the desks. So they partition, the small desks into 4 corners. So each of them, they can sit in their own corner to have lunch. So this is some of the gesture, we arrange with our tenant company. And the second thing we find out is more people, they choose to drive. So more people, they try to avoid to take the public transportation like the subway. So more people drive or bike to work. So I would say, prepare that, the parking area will got more pressure for this. And maybe increase of the bike locker. So allow more people, they might, try to avoid, the public transportation and get back to their car. And the third thing we find out is about the risk management. Some company, they will split their staff into groups, maybe a group A, group B. So they will rotate them to come to work at the office. So in each day, they may have allowed, today is work for group A and tomorrow will be group B. The reason they find this is for in case any of the staff is being diagnosed for coronavirus later on, then that group will become quarantined for 14 days. So in that case, they still have the other group of people to, to let the business go as usual. And in doing this, they also reduce the population in the building at any given time. So, by the time when we reduce our loading for the elevator, if together we can work on with our tenant company for all this kind of, they have their lunch boxes, they don't travel at lunchtime, and also, if they don't come back 100% at a time, that it will help up, for the morning peak hours. And also we will advise them to use flexible working hours, so they don't come on at maybe 9 o'clock, or everyone come in at 9 o'clock. They may come in from maybe 8:30 to 9:30, spread out in an hour. So together with all this kind of arrangement, we're trying to reduce the pressure to the office lobby during any hours. And for the courier deliveries, honestly, during this lockdown stage or at the reopening stage, we don't allow the courier to come into the building, and then we will set up a temporary drop-off area outside the building. So all the courier, they deliver the products to that drop-off space, and they will inform the other party, and they come down to pick up afterward. So that will reduce the direct contact between the couriers and our tenants, because all our tenants come into our building, they have their green code checked, and all the delivery guy, courier, they may not have time to check their green code every time. So we're trying to block around the transmission among them. So in the long run, I would suggest for building they have the facility or the capability to do that, maybe implement a permanent delivery locker system, which they do have that in China, in some of those residential building and also some of those commercial building. They start to use this kind of locker box systems. So the delivery guy come in, press the code, one of those box open, and then they put this product in and send the code to the to the recipient, to the client. So the client come down, they will press the code, and then they can get their product. So you can see the left they deliver, and the right hand side they get the products. So there's actually no direct contact between those two persons. And I will spend some time to address about the F&B, because we also have a shopping mall in our building, and we do have a lot of F&B tenants. And during the lockdown stage, most of the tenants, or most of the F&B tenants, we don't allow sit in. Then they will only doing business as a takeout or delivery business. And for those exceptional cases, some of the tenants, they still allow sit in, then they will only spread out all the tables to 1 meter apart, and each table should allow only one person to sit in. So actually, they will greatly reduce, the capacity of the F&B tenant. And the staff need to clean and sanitize the table, the chairs after each of the customer left. And the staff also must have the green code to work and wear masks at all time. And some of the F&B tenants, they use disposable utensil, as much as they can. If they cannot use that, or they choose not to use the disposable time, they have to sanitize it, the utensil every time. And for a mall operator, we also limit the entrance and exit to the mall to maybe 1 or 2 entrances. And if possible, we allow the different routes for entrance to the exit type. So trying to prevent they coming face to face to each other. And then we will also check the green code and check the temperature for each of the people coming in. And also we create also the drop off and pick up desk outside the mall, same as the office building. And during that period, in order to promote the business, some mall operator, we create an app for delivery first service, and also we create a live stream for the tenant staff to promote the products. And during reopen stage, because actually in Shanghai, we reopened in late March or early April, the distancing requirement right now are relaxed. So actually, we don't exercise those kind of 1 meter apart at this moment. We still ask them to sanitize and clean the table after each of the customers leave. And also all staff, all the F&B staff, they have to wear masks at all time. And for the mall operator, we still exercise checking the green code, taking the temperature, but it's a choice right now at the reopening. Some of the mall operator, they will choose, okay, in that case, right now we don't check the green code, but we only take the temperature. But we also demand, all the tenant staff, they have to wear masks, and they have to check the temperature twice a day and report to the mall operator, because we still have to report, the temperature data to the health bureau every day. So that's what I want to touch on today. Thank you. Over to you, Glenn.
Thank you so much, Alan. Great presentation, very, very informative, and the best practices you're doing in Shanghai. And I want to take this opportunity to thank Dave Lau and you for your excellent presentation today. As you know, we're in late afternoon here in San Francisco, California, in the Bay, and you're very, very early morning in China. So even though we're very far apart, we're connected. So thank you for that. Now we have a whole bunch of questions from our colleagues. There's a lot of colleagues on, and there's a lot of questions, and I want to take the opportunity to share some of those questions for our subject experts. And one of the questions that was shared with was asked is, do you have valet parking, and if so, how was that handled?
For Guangzhou IFC, there's haven't provided valet parking.
Not in Shanghai as well. Unfortunately, we don't have valet parking. But right now, if I observe in Shanghai, for those valet parking services, I think, they probably will stop. I don't observe that much in Shanghai.
Okay. Another great question, and I know it's on a lot of people's minds as we deal with budgets and staffing. Did you have to hire additional staff members to outline and implement your protocols?
Yes, for Shanghai, that costs additional expenses to property management. Yes, we need to hire more security staff to maintain, control the traffic, especially if there's lineup, outside the lobby. Luckily, with all the exercise we work with our tenants, we don't see any lineup outside our lobby all this time in the past 2 months.
And for Guangzhou IFC and having additional staff, they have the incentive scheme and provide more benefits for the existing staff. On the other side, they minimize the outsider and other people to serving the task force and well as the tenants.
Understood. Here's a question that is on everybody's mind, and as we see the stanchions that you place, how long is the average wait time in the lines to get into the main building? What are you seeing across your various portfolios?
Maybe Dave?
Yeah, I'm for the Guangzhou IFC, because they have the questionnaire before resuming the works. The questionnaire to cover the how many tenant staff will go back to the building, as well as after they collect all the information to establish and fixed working timetable. This means that the high peak hours to encourage the different companies to their staff to go back to the office in a certain different period. That's one the things they have done in Guangzhou IFC. Another one is because IFC have the several entrances, so they have also to rearrange the tenant staff by make use the different entrance inside go in the building. Yeah, that's it. Alan?
Yeah. For Shanghai, and I think I probably want to stress on, we have to work with the tenants about, the flexible working hour. So make sure nobody, not all the company to come in at the same time, or maybe in between 8:30 to 9 o'clock. So actually we spread out, we send a questionnaire to each of the tenants to ask when will the people coming in. So we estimate, we'll not face this kind of situation. So I think, that is very important in the operational way, because when we reduce, the capacity of the elevator down to maybe 25% to 30% of the normal, so that, must be done. Otherwise, you will face, the lineup. But in our past 2 months, we don't have any lineup at all.
Segueing to another question that is on everybody's mind is, how do you handle, or what's the experiences with exiting the building? A lot of people on their minds now is, you talked about lunches and a lot of people providing food in their cafeterias, but at the end of the day, we know people want to go home, right? They want to go home and join their families. And what's the process been like that in terms of handling people exiting the building at the end of the day?
Well, at the end of the day, I think, it depends on the building situation, because in our building, we have, 2 to 3 exits. First of all, people can take, the flight elevator directly come down to the parking lobby, the parking. And some, we also can have access, to the lobby. And then we will allow, open up all the revolving doors. So trying to, first of all, non-touching, and also open up all the turnstiles as much as possible, and allow people to exit quicker. But honestly, I would say, we have to teach all the tenant staff, so don't jam into the elevator. If they see there are maybe more than 6 people inside the elevator, they're trying to wait for the next elevator. And also we promote, for the lower floor tenants to walk down the stairs. So we clean up the stairs for that purpose, and trying to promote, people, they can also take the stairs for the low floor tenants. So we have to use multiple ways, trying to reduce, and also we have to educate people, trying to not to squeeze into the elevator if there are more than 6 people inside.
Thank you, Alan. Another question is, a lot of our owners have really invested a lot of money in amenities, tenant fitness centers. That's lots of questions coming about on how you handle the fitness centers in China. Can you share that experience with our colleagues?
Dave?
Yeah. In Guangzhou, IFC has one fitness center in the shopping arcades. And we have suggested tenants, the fitness center managers, to make the separate zone in the fitness center. That's why here in different zone, you can minimize the customer to make use the areas individually, and also you can control the hygiene. That's why everybody after make use of the gym equipment, and then you will need to clean it up and then serve to another one. That's why we have seen the fitness center. You can consider to arrange the layout and also to prepare the such arrangement. Alan?
Yeah, I want to add that, in China, what I observe, in addition to like gym or other facility like museums or some other, tourist spot, they're using the online booking systems right now, because the key point is to trying to reduce, people coming at the same time. So right now, most of those facilities, they use online booking systems to reduce the number of population inside at any 1 hour. So that has been exercised in most of the museums, galleries. They're using that to prevent, people crowding inside the facility. So I think, that can be also used in a gym. So you might want to see how big your area is, and then you can say, oh, if you have to limit people by 1 meter in circumference, then how many people maximum you can take. Just like we estimate how many people we can stand inside our lift lobby and also inside the elevator. So we reduce that to to the capacity afterward.
Let's talk about if we can. A lot of questions from our colleagues about temperature testing. That's a big issue.
Yeah.
Especially in the States. We talk about privacy issues and concerns. Can you share a little bit on how you approached that and if there was any barriers, and just share some practices so that you can provide us some feedback, because a lot of our folks are wondering about that.
Well, probably in China, most people, they obey that. Well, first of all, there are two ways, because you see in our demonstration, our PPT, we have a couple types of thermometer. We use the handheld one, which, is either they point it to the forehead, which is not that pleasant. So instead of pointing to the forehead, nowadays we point it to the palm. So a little bit colder than the forehead anyway. But the other way, the better way is the non-touch type. You see, those kind of infrared scanner. Because those kind of infrared scanner, they can scan you, maybe you are 2 meters away. They will scan that one. But a little bit cautious is, I tested some of those devices, and some might not be that accurate, because when you are standing 2 meters away, they scan you in the whole body. So if you are coming out from a cold weather and you're all dressed, they are all cooled down, so they might miss your fever. So that has to be using the right type of infrared scanner. Those more expensive one, they can probably capture your head, the head area, and then pinpoint to your forehead to take the temperature there, not take the temperature of your dress. Otherwise, you may create some misinformation and allow a fever, a person come in with a high fever. That's the thing we don't want.
Let's talk a little bit about, a lot of people have on their minds the protocols. I think everyone in the States now is working on the re-occupancy strategies and the protocols on a daily basis, all of our colleagues in every one of the firms. When did you start working on the protocols? Immediately when the coronavirus hit? And how long did it take you to really outline them and then implement them?
Well, maybe I talk first and Dave can supplement. Yeah. Well, it actually is a process. I still remember, we got in lockdown Wuhan by end of January. At that time, in Shanghai, we haven't had any lockdown, but that was a holiday. So in mid of February, we start to see lockdown in Shanghai. And so at that time, we don't have the green code. We haven't, the government, they haven't divided, created green code yet. So we only take the temperature. We, first of all, we purchase all those kind of PPE. That's the first step, to prepare all our staff to make sure that they are safe to come to work. And so I think, that is the prime things. And the second thing is, once, we can identify, the green code, that will help. But, in case, because that is another a big issue, because, that is touching about the privacy, because, in US may not, have that kind of green code. Then I think, taking temperatures and wearing protective gears is one of the key things to use. Because, we don't want to get our staff or get in the whole building to circulate this kind of virus inside the building. That is the things, we don't want to see to happen. And in China, once we using this kind of devices or procedures, luckily we don't see any kind of cases happen in our buildings, and in our portfolio, we haven't had that kind of cases happen. Because when we take the temperature of every people coming into the building, we're trying to hopefully stop coming in. So all the people coming to work, they are safe inside our building. That is the thing we want to make sure as much as possible.
if we can, thank you, Alan. Can we go back to the stairwells? There's a lot of questions on the stairwells, you know, whether, you know, there's a multi-tenant floor, and then there's tenants that have obviously full floors. And can you just clarify for our colleagues, do you allow tenants to go up the stairwells as well as leave the building via the stairwells? And have you had any issues with the amount of people in the stairwells? Because I think people are really struggling on the concept of, do I open my stairwells? And there's some, you know, there's some obviously benefits, but there's risks to that as well.
Yes. First of all, you know, we do have some tenants, they occupy multiple floors, and then we will encourage them, and also they do encourage their staff to take stairs in between, you know, the elevators, because in that case, you know, that will reduce the, you know, the loading to the lift, and that is the key thing we want to make sure, trying to you know, prevent that. And we only use there for the low floor, you know, if they're coming in and out of their office, you know, we're trying to promote, you know, maybe up to 7th floor. We cannot ask people to walk up, you know, 20 stairs to the work. But, you know, for the low floor tenant, we trying to, you know, kind of limit them to use the stair only for those floors. So for the high zone or the mid zone tenants, they still using the elevator, but not the stairs. But for the stair, we you know, we serve that for the low floor tenants. So we're kind of trying to separate, you know, the usage of our facility as much as possible.
Here's a question that I know that is burning. It's on everybody's mind, and so we'll ask it to Dave and Alan. Temperature testing, whether it be on the loading dock or in the lobby, who would, the property, a lot of times people are saying, well, the property management team is going to have to be temperature testing, and a lot of people get real queasy. Does your security team do the temperature testing? Do you have a third party that does that? Walk us through that a little bit, because there's a lot of anxiety with a lot of our colleagues about temperature testing and who does it and the process.
Well, in our portfolio, we use both customer service team and also the security team. As I said before, you know, we retain more security staff, because, you know, in this way, you know, for each of the entrance and to the mall and also to the office building, we use security staff. And then actually in the morning peak hour, we use about 3 to 4 person to take temperature at the same time. Because, you know, people walk in, right? We cannot only use one and then, you know, we create one lineup after this, you know, behind this person. But instead of doing that, you know, we want to create maybe 4 lineup or 4. So we use 4 person to take the temperature at a time. So in that case, you know, we reduce the lineup opportunity.
Understood.
But it will cost more. Actually, it will cost more, definitely.
Yeah, one more for the further, Alan, just say that there's a temperature check in the lobby. And also we have to arrange the coordinate with the tenants, healthy management staff to collect their employee temperature twice a day. The records should be sent back to the management office every day, and the management office to ensure the building inside there's no any cases, and a report to the head office. That's mandatory required by the local government.
Yeah, that's the same thing in Shanghai as well. You know, we need to ask each of the tenant company, they have to take measurement of their staff twice a day, and then they will send the report to us by the end of the day, and then we send out to the local medical bureau by around 5 p.m.
Mm-hmm. We have one, I think we could go on all night. It's such a great presentation from our colleagues. One last question, and you know, it's all of us, including you, we're on the front lines every day. There's a lot of a different kind of stress level, you know, pre-coronavirus There was a lot of stress in our jobs on a daily basis, but I think everybody will say that there's a little different type of stress now. There's, some different anxiety. And the question is how are your teams doing? What are you doing? How are you doing? What are you doing in terms of supporting one another and encouraging one another and checking in with one another and saying, hey, how you feeling? What's going on? Can I help you? I think a lot of people are concerned about that, about the long-term effects of the stress that the situation has been put on us.
Well, Glenn, I think you are right. And then you mentioned that, yes, we are facing different stress right now. By the time, when we haven't turned on our air conditioning and the temperature is getting higher and higher, and the air inside the office is getting stuffy, so we receive a lot of complaint. The tenant, they will complain, oh, it's getting too hot here, I cannot breathe. And then we actually, what we did, we have to communicate more with the tenant, what we are doing, and then ask them to cooperate as much as possible and try, okay, we open up all the window if we can, and allow them to come down, to take a breath outside the lobby. And so we try every way, trying to communicate. I think communication is the key. Everyone knows that we're doing that, trying to help keep our safety and also keep everyone healthy. And they are also watching us how to do it. And we also receive complaints saying that, oh, did you sanitize this area? Because if you forgot to label that has been cleaned, people will ask you, have you cleaned that? Okay, so beware that you put up enough on-time notice that the area is that you are going to clean, then make sure you clean that. Okay, so that is another stress for our cleaning staff as well. And luckily, most of our tenant staff, they also very understanding, because everyone are together in this scenario right now. And we're just trying to hope, the infected cases in the whole city is coming down and down and down. Then we achieve it, and then we can reopen more safely.
Wonderful, wonderful. I want to, I wish, like I said, we could go on for hours, and maybe we could do another one of these sessions with Dave and Alan at some time. But on behalf of BOMA San Francisco and all of our colleagues here, I want to extend a big thanks to Alan and Dave today. They were outstanding, and we very much appreciate hearing about your experiences with reopening your buildings and some of the challenges, as well as some of the successes that you've encountered along the way. We're grateful for the time you've given us today. I also want to take the opportunity to thank Able Services. Able, as you know, sponsored today's webinar. They're one of our valuable partners here with BOMA San Francisco. They have been for a long time, and we're grateful for all the support that Able gives us day in and day out. With their support, we can do things like this and provide value to our colleagues throughout San Francisco and the Bay Area. To all, I just want to remind you, don't forget to check the BOMA San Francisco COVID-19 resource page. Tori, Mark, Sylvia, and the whole team at BOMA San Francisco are working day in and day out very, very hard to provide you with the most up-to-date, comprehensive information that you can have and to share with your valued tenants. Really, thank you, everyone, and have a great night.
Thank you, Glenn. Thank you, Tori, Sylvia, Dave. Thank you, Jeff. It's our pleasure to share.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.